For 47 agonizing minutes, there is only silence. A perfect, crushing void where radio waves die against a wall of stone. Somewhere on the far side of the moon, in the hemisphere of secrets that forever turns its back on Earth, it is utterly alone, a ghost in the machine, guided only. Its descent engines fire in precise, desperate bursts, fighting a gravity that has never been challenged in this place. There is no mission control to whisper course corrections, no human hand to steady the controls.
Earth, with its 7 billion souls, its oceans, its noise, and its light, is gone.
It has slipped behind the horizon, and from this perspective, it may as well have never existed at all. Below the lander, the von Kármán crater stretches into an abyss of gray and black. It is a graveyard of impacts, 180 kilometers wide, so ancient that the mountains that form its rim are not sharp peaks, but weary, rounded shoulders.
This is not a landscape.
It is a memory of violence, frozen and preserved in a perfect vacuum. In the sky above, there is no comforting blue marble. Patient feuds. There is only the unblinking, pitiless stare of the cosmos, a tapestry of stars burning with the lander's fate, and the fate of the entire mission hangs on a single, fragile thread. 100,000 kilometers away, parked in the silent emptiness of space, the Chang'e relay satellite holds its position. Inside the lander, algorithms are making thousands of calculations per second. The hazard avoidance camera scans the terrain, identifying treacherous boulders and steep crater lips, rerouting the descent path in real time.
The engine's roar is swallowed by the vacuum, a silent scream of controlled power.
100. The engine's pitch changes, softening its thrust. Undisturbed for eon.
10 meters. 3. A soft thud echoes through the lander's frame, a vibration of arrival.
Then, the engines die. And the silence that returns is different.
It is deeper. It is the silence of stillness, of permanence. For the first time in history, a visitor has arrived in the land of ghosts. Hours later, after every system is verified, a ramp lowers with mechanical grace, touching the pale, powdery soil.
And from the lander's bell emerges the U-22 Rover, the Jade Rabbit.
Its 6 wheels press into the regolith, leaving the first marks of intention this hemisphere has ever known.
They are not just tracks.
They are the first words written in a book that has been sealed since the dawn of time. The rover's mission is to read that ancient story, to analyze the dust and rock. But as it sits there, soaking in the alien sunlight, it knows nothing of the first lunar days unfolded with a quiet, methodical rhythm. The U-22 rover was an extension of the scientist's will, a masterpiece of remote geology. Its ground-penetrating radar scanned the unseen layers beneath the dust, mapping ancient lava flows and the scars of... Its spectrometer tasted the sunlight reflecting off the soil, analyzing the mineral composition. To the team in Beijing, every data packet that crossed the void via the Chang'e satellite was a victory.
The rover moved slowly, cautiously, its silver and gold body.
It worked under the brutal, unfiltered glare of the sun for 2 weeks. Then, as
It was a cycle of endurance and discovery. Wake, work, sleep.
the data was fascinating, confirming that the crater floor was rich in minerals that hinted at the moon's ancient volcanic past.
But it was also predictable.
The landscape was uniform, a testament to the relentless pulverizing force of eons of micrometeorite impacts. It was a world that, for all its alien grandeur, seemed to hold few surprises. Then came Lunar Day 8.
Back on Earth, in the sterile, quiet focus of the Beijing Aerospace Command and Control.
Her job was to stitch the photos into a seamless panorama, a task she had performed hundreds of times.
But this time, her eyes stopped on a single frame.
In the center of a small, sharp-rimmed crater, just a few meters ahead of the rover, something was wrong.
A tiny patch of the crater floor was different. She flagged the image.
Her supervisor leaned in. The image was magnified, its pixels sharpened by powerful software. The quiet hum of the control room seemed to fade as a small crowd gathered. There, stark against the pale, powdery, matte-textured regolith, was a patch of material that seemed to glisten. It was darker, with a strange olive-green hue. It didn't look like rock. It looked few. The scientists, trained to be skeptical, ran through the possibilities. Was it a shadow? A trick of the intense lunar light playing on a strange rock formation? Was it a malfunction in the camera's sensor?
They checked the telemetry, the sun's angle, the rover's position. Everything was normal. The object was real.
The first descriptions were hesitant, spoken in hushed tones over encrypted channels.
It had a greasy luster, one geologist noted.
Another, struggling for an analogy, called it gel-like. The term stuck, igniting a firestorm of control.
Gels don't belong on the moon.
Water ice, the most likely candidate for anything wet-looking, shouldn't be stable here, exposed to the vacuum and the direct sunlight on the crater floor.
It had to be something else. Something unexpected.
The rover's initial long-range spectral analysis was inconclusive. The anomaly was too small, the distance too great.
There was only one way to know for sure. They had to get closer.
A quiet, momentous decision was made. The mission plan was scrapped. U-22's journey of exploration was now a dedicated investigation.
New commands were written. A new path was charted.
The rover pivoted, its cameras fixed on the small crater, and began a slow, deliberate crawl toward...
On the moon. A deadline is not a date on a calendar.
It is a line of shadow moving across the dust. With the decision made, a new, terrifying variable entered the equation: time. The sun, which had been a source of life-giving power, was now a merciless clock. On the horizon, it was beginning its slow, 2-week descent, and with it,
Soon, the 14 days of sunlight would give way to 14 nights of a cold.
The lunar night is not just darkness. It is a plunge into an abyss of -180 degrees Celsius.
For U-22, it meant hibernation.
a deep, powerless sleep where only a tiny radioisotope heater would keep its core electronics from freezing solid.
But every time it entered that sleep, there was a risk.
A risk that some delicate component would fail, that a circuit would crack, that the Jade Rabbit would simply never wake up.
The team had one shot to reach the crater and get the data before the long night claimed the valley.
The journey was a crawl of pure tension.
What had looked like a short, simple drive from a distance was, up close, a minefield.
The regolith, pulverized by billions of years of impacts, had the consistency of...
In some places, it was firm.
In others, it was a soft, deep powder that could trap the rover's wheels, leaving it stranded forever. Sharp, glassy shards of rock, remnants of nearby impacts, lay hidden in the dust, threatening to slash its delicate tires. The rover's autonomous navigation system, its electronic brain, worked overtime. Its lasers, every single centimeter gained was a hard-won victory against a landscape that had never known the wheel. Back in Beijing, the control room was a capsule of suffocating silence, broken only by the calm, procedural voices of the flight controllers.
The light speed delay, the few seconds it took for a signal to travel from Earth to the Queqiao satellite, and they were pushing their billion-dollar machine, their national pride, to its absolute limit, all for a patch of anomalous dust.
They were driving blind, placing their faith in the lines of code they had written years before. Each telemetry packet that arrived, confirming the rover was still moving, still functioning. Finally, after hours of painstaking progress, U-22 arrived at the edge. The target crater was small, barely 2 meters in diameter, but its sides were steeper than they had appeared. It was a fresh wound on the moon's face, likely carved by a small, high-velocity impactor just a few million years ago. And at its bottom lay the mystery, the patch of dark, glistening material. The rover's robotic arm, with the precious spectrometer on its tip, could not reach the anomaly from the crater's rim.
The unthinkable became unavoidable. It had to go in. This was the moment of greatest risk.
The crater's inner walls were an unknown.
If the slope was too steep or the soil too loose, the rover could tip, or its wheels could lose traction.
The sun was now a sliver of blinding light on the horizon.
Power levels were dropping precipitously. The command was sent across 400,000 kilometers of space.
Proceed!
U-22 angled its wheels and began to creep down the incline, its metallic body pitching forward at a heart-stopping angle.
Dust cascaded around it. For a moment, one of its wheels slipped, spinning uselessly before finding purchase. It reached the bottom. The arm, a marvel of precision engineering, extended slowly, positioning the final rays of sunlight vanished.
The world plunged into the grey twilight of a dying day. The race was over. Now, they could only hope the rover had seen enough before the darkness and the cold came to claim it.
Just before the last photon of sunlight slipped behind the crater rim, the rover's spectrometer completed its scan.
The data packet, a tiny burst of information representing the hopes of the entire mission,
was beamed upwards to the Kármán satellite. Caught it and flung it across the void toward Earth. On the far side, U-22 fell silent.
its mast retracted, its solar panels angled to protect them, and all non-essential systems shut down.
A tiny, lonely machine curled into itself.
For 2 weeks, it would be a ghost, and the mission controllers could only wait, staring at the fragment of data they had.
The analysis began immediately.
Teams of geologists, chemists, and physicists descended on the data, their task to translate the raw spectral signature into a story.
The first results were a series of negatives, ruling out the most sensational possibilities.
The substance wasn't water ice. Its chemical signature was wrong.
It wasn't any kind of strange, organic compound. No hint of the building blocks of life.
The dream of an alien artifact. A dream that always lingers in the shadows of the far side.
The message was not from another intelligence. It was from the moon itself.
But what it was saying was far stranger than anyone had anticipated.
The signature was a definitive match for silicate rock, rich in the minerals that make up the lunar highlands, plagioclase, pyroxene.
But the way these minerals were fused together was unlike anything they had seen in the surrounding soil. The material wasn't crystalline, like a normal rock that had cooled slowly.
It was amorphous, disordered. It was glass.
Specifically, it was a complex fusion of shattered rock fragments and melted droplets, all frozen together in a single, chaotic mass.
The term the scientists settled on was impact melt breccia, a dry, technical name for something born of cosmic fury.
This was the message. To understand it, you have to imagine the moment of its creation.
Picture a small meteorite, no larger than a basketball, screaming through the vacuum.
It strikes the lunar surface not with the force of an explosion, but with a release of pure kinetic energy so...
The solid rock of the moon doesn't melt. It vaporizes.
A plume of superheated gas and molten droplets is blasted upwards into the black sky. But in the perfect, heatless vacuum of space, this splash of liquid fire has nowhere to go. It doesn't cool, it flash freezes. The atoms have no time to arrange themselves into orderly crystals.
They are locked instantly into place, their chaotic, liquid structure becoming a solid.
This is the gel-like substance. The terrifying message wasn't a warning. It was a photograph. A perfect, atomic-level snapshot of a moment of unimaginable violence. It was the physical record of the moon's own scream, captured in a shard of dark green glass.
And that wasn't even the most profound part.
The minerals trapped within this glass matrix were the key.
The impact that created this crater, while small, was powerful enough to dredge up material from beneath the loose surface regolith. And because the von Kármán crater sits inside the colossal South Pole Aitken Basin, it is ancient material from the moon's upper mantle, excavated from the depths by a cataclysmic impact billions of years ago.
The scientists in Beijing realized what they had found. This wasn't just a strange rock.
It was a pristine, uncontaminated sample of the moon's primordial guts, delivered to the surface.
The rover hadn't just solved a mystery. It had found a key to the moon's violent birth, and with it, a doorway to understanding our own. As the sun's first rays crested the ancient mountains of the von Kármán crater, a signal pierced the void. On a screen in Beijing, a single line of telemetry appeared. U-22 was awake. It had survived the abyssal cold. The fragile machine, having delivered its impossible message, was ready to continue its long journey. But the mission, and our understanding of the moon, had been fundamentally transformed. The rover was no longer just a geologist. It was an archaeologist of creation. The terrifying message frozen in that glass was not a warning from some ancient intelligence. It was a testament. A first-hand account of the sheer, unimaginable violence that forged our solar system.
The glass was a witness to a time called the Late Heavy Bombardment, a reign of celestial terror 4 billion years ago. This was the environment in which the Earth and Moon were born, not a gentle cradle, but a cosmic crucible of fire and impact.
This is the secret the message tells. Here on Earth, the evidence of our own violent birth has been erased.
Billions of years of plate tectonics, of volcanic eruptions.
Earth is a living world that forgets. But the moon is different. It is a dead world that remembers everything.
It has no atmosphere to burn up invaders, no oceans to swallow craters, no tectonic plates to grind away the evidence.
It is a museum of the solar system, and every impact scar is an exhibit, preserved in a perfect vacuum.
That small piece of impact glass is the most pristine exhibit of all. It is a Rosetta Stone.
By studying its composition, by reading the story of its flash-frozen minerals, we can understand the raw ingredients that built the moon's mantle. And because the moon was born from the same cloud of debris as our own world, we are, in a very real sense, looking at a sample of...
The rover had discovered a ghost from our shared past.
The fragile, six-wheeled robot that we sent into the most isolated place in the solar system did not find aliens.
It found something far more profound. It found a direct, physical link to the chaotic origins of our own home. It proved that the answers to the deepest questions about where we come from might not be buried beneath our own feet. The far side of the moon, for so long a symbol of mystery, of the unknowable, has transformed. It is no longer a blank canvas for our fears and fantasies. It is a library, and its books are written in stone and glass. The U-22 rover, our lonely messenger in the grey dust, has just helped us read the first sentence. And that sentence tells us that our beginning was more violent, more chaotic, and more terrifying than we had ever imagined.
The story of the U-22 rover and the message it found in the glass is more than a tale of scientific discovery.
It's a profound lesson about memory and perspective.
Here on Earth, we are surrounded by a world that is constantly erasing its own past. Mountains erode, oceans shift, forests grow and decay, and the evidence.
Our world forgets, but the moon remembers. It is a silent archive, a perfect, unchanging witness to the
terrifying message found by that lonely rover wasn't an alien threat, but a truth about ourselves.
This cosmic lesson holds a deeply human truth, especially as we get older.
We all have a far side, parts of our own history that are quiet, scarred, and perhaps unwelcoming.
It can be tempting to only focus on the familiar near side, the story of ourselves that is easy to tell. The discovery reminds us that the most unsettling revelations are often not threats, but invitations to understand our own resilience.
We are all survivors of a cosmic cataclysm, and that shared history is written. What part of this incredible discovery resonated most with you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every one. Wishing you clear skies and a sense of wonder.
Yet, it is often in exploring those silent, difficult places, the impacts and the pressures that shaped us,